Aloha and welcome to A Course in Miracles Deep Dive with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Lake Whatcom, Washington. Yeah, woo! Yes, that's it behind me if you're watching. Yeah, so we are in the complete annotated edition of A Course in Miracles, which came out 2021. That's the edition we're going on. We're starting in chapter 3, part 1, paragraph 6. And I believe that's on page 109 if you'd like to follow along. It's not necessary because I go through everything nice and slow, but if you want to, you can. Yeah. All right, let's tune in. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's joining. Thank you to Jesus for these teachings, these clear teachings, total roadmap. It's such a blessing. And, the constant clarification. Thanks, so thankful for the constant clarification, like we're going to see today, about who Jesus is. It's such a blessing that we get these clarifications over and over again. It makes it easy to see how the mind is so quick to make Jesus into an idol or to make him into some mythological character. Just so much gratitude for this constant, patient, loving reminder of who he is and who we are, and how to relate with each other, with him, with God. We're going to get into that. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I love you. Yay. Let's go. Woohoo!
Buckle up.
Buckle up. We are going deep. That is correct. So starting with chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called The Sane Perception. In section 1, which we're coming to the end of section 1, there's 7 paragraphs there, and we're in paragraph 6 now. Section 1 is titled The Need to Study. So we'll just get started with the first sentence in paragraph 6. So far, this course has had only indirect recourse to God and rarely even refers to him directly. So it looks like something's about to change here. There's going to be some direct recourse to God coming up here. And why is he saying it here in the sane perception, the need to study? That was my question. Like, why is he saying it right here in the sane perception, the need to study? That so far, this course has had only indirect recourse to God and rarely even refers to him directly. So Jesus is clarifying here how the course has been teaching so far, and why that method of teaching has been necessary up to right here. See, he's making a statement here about learning readiness. Once you've understood the concepts up to here in A Course in Miracles, this is where you're ready for recourse to God. Because the readiness has to do with your perception. So it's been deliberately indirect. about God because you first needed to learn what's been presented here, how perception works, right? That's one. How fear distorts meaning, right? So it's like everything and everyone is the same child of God, but fear distorts that meaning and makes God into something out there. So we also learned how responsibility has been misplaced. So taking back our responsibilities and how miracles correct the perception. That's the other part. If we're not aware of all these things that have been taught up till now, God becomes this interesting man. So it's here in the sane perception because only a mind that's been trained to see sanely can be sane with direct reference to God. So now it looks like there's going to be a shift where there's going to be some direct reference to God. So in effect, he's saying if you haven't studied carefully what's been presented up till this point, you're likely to misinterpret what's coming next. Like this is he's deliberately, deliberately, what is the word? So he's deliberately talked about indirect recourse to God, and rarely even refers to God. So this has been something that he has done deliberately. That's why the things that have been taught up till now are the things that need to be understood before you understand like this next pivot that's going to occur. Because basically, and as I've been saying all along, you are God. You are that, right? And if you're not aware of your responsibility in that, let's say your responsibility in that, thinking that you are God, it's thinking it as an ego, right? So it gets to that eventually, and you could take it from wherever you are. Really, you could take A Course in Miracles from wherever you are, as far as are you aware of your God presence, right? If you're not aware of your God presence up until you're aware, and that's just an honesty thing. It's just a sincerity. Like when you're aware of your God presence, you have no question, you're not confused. So when you find yourself in confusion about your identity, then A Course in Miracles is talking about asking the Holy Spirit, what should I do? You're seeing in separation anyways. It's not a bad thing. It's just a process, and it's the willingness that gets you through to seeing clearly, right? So talk about God is an even deeper metaphysical teaching than what we've been practically learning so far. So far, we've been learning practically how to see, how to see with the Holy Spirit's interpretation, not introducing the concept of God allows us to study as far as what to use as our source. It's not like there's this concept outside of us, but he introduces this forgiveness and us being that in the willingness to see that there's no one and nothing that's not being helpful for us. In this way, God doesn't become a concept and placed external. He doesn't get feared. He doesn't become some kind of judgmental guy that's taking notes about you. So the need to study up until this point, what it appears to be is protective. It's like it's protecting your mind from a misinterpretation that would come from introducing the concept of God too quickly. This is something to know your to know your power, which that's what's been given us in these first 2 point something chapters. To know our power first before introducing God. So he's bringing perception into order. Perception can't reach God. That's beyond perception. Training the perception before pointing beyond perception. So God has still been approached up till this point indirectly through the effects of forgiveness. God has still been approached, just not with the concept of God. That's why Jesus rarely spoke of God so far. So it's protective in the way that it's preserving this concept of God from being used as a defense. You know, he's talking about defenses a lot here. So God could be used as a defense too if you make him into an authority figure. Right? God becomes like an explanation within the ego's story. Well, God must want it this way. You notice how like the mind will just go to, oh, well, I don't like this, but God must want it. It's like externalizing God.
God's ways are higher than my ways.
Right. And see how A Course in Miracles has been teaching how your will and God's will are the same.
And I think the most important part for me was just seeing that all the perceptions are my own projections.
All the perceptions are your own projections.
Basically taking responsibility for whatever I see.
Right. See, that's one of the things that has been learned up till this point. Tony's talking about one of the most important ones for him is recognizing that everything that is perceived is projected. See? So it's like once you're aware in that way, then you're ready for a concept of God to be introduced. That's total responsibility. See, so it's knowing our responsibility first before the concept of God comes in and we make it into some kind of an idol that's outside of us, something unattainable, right? So God has already been introduced so far through the effects of that, seeing in that way that what you're perceiving, you're actually projecting, right? So direct reference to God requires this preparation, the preparation that we've had so far. Look at some of the preparation that we've had. Uh, we've seen that the body doesn't think or feel or cause any fear or cause any healing. See, this helps us not misunderstand God as a body-like character, right? Or a causal force within the world. See, or a judge or a fixer. God, please give me the money to get this thing that I want, or something like that. Or I need, thinking you know what you need too. So this course has begun up to this point with perceptual correction, not theology about God. We've been working on, look at all the principles of miracles. It's perceptual correction is what we've been working on. So now we're going forward, and it tells you you're being prepared for clearer language now. God's going to be spoken of now more directly. Creation's going to be distinguished from perception. That's fun. So if you haven't studied up till now, it depends on how deep you guys want to go. If you want, you can go back to February of 2025, where I started with Principles of Miracles #1, and just start listening to those, the ACIM deep dives. You can go to the last one or the second to last one. I did a summary. I think it was the second to last one before this one. So that would be January 7th. I did a summary. So you can check out that summary or whatever resonates for you. Yeah. There's no hard rules here. Yes. So basically, the authority that we gave to fear had to be weakened before God was introduced in this way. Okay? The authority that we gave to fear, so that we didn't project that fear onto God. Right? Yay. Aloha, everyone. I love you. Thank you for joining. We are on an ACIM deep dive. If you've just joined, we just read paragraph 6, sentence 2. I'll go back, or paragraph 6, sentence 1. I'll go back and read it one more time. So far, this course has had only indirect recourse to God and rarely even refers to him directly. That's sentence 1. And now we're on to sentence 2. Yay. Woohoo! Sentence 2. I have emphasized, yes, you have, that awe is not appropriate in connection with me. This is Jesus speaking here. I have emphasized that awe is not appropriate in connection with me because of our inherent equality. Okay, so Jesus is talking about inherent equality here. And there's a footnote, footnote 10. That takes us back to miracle principle 46. Awe is not properly experienced, even in relation to me. So even in relation to Jesus, awe is not properly experienced. Another way, awe is not appropriate in connection with me. In connection with Jesus, awe is not appropriate. So this isn't about Jesus being humble. Okay, it's not about his personality or anything like that. It's about levels. Okay, so it's back to levels, right? We were talking about that earlier. He's correcting a whole category error where Jesus is made into a God, where he's put up above people. So the tendency to place him in the category of God, it places the student, you, the one placing him in the category of God, on the side of the body. See, so the reason why he's saying he's equal with you, this is equality and inherent equality, okay, is that you're both in the same category. All people in Jesus and all sons of God, all people are all sons of God in the same category. And God in a whole nother category. A whole nother category. You'll see why. We'll get into it a little bit. Okay? So awe really belongs only to revelation. Revelation is the direct awareness of God. That's where awe comes in. It doesn't belong in relationship between equals. When that occurs, it puts the one who's in awe, again, kind of like on the side of manifestation, as if they are the manifestation, as if they're not just as capable as Jesus is taking responsibility for everything that's being perceived. So I want to talk about revelation for a minute, because this is what we're talking about when we're talking about awe, okay? Awe is appropriate in relation with God. So it's like, what is relation with God? A relation with God is revelation. That's been talked about a bunch in A Course in Miracles. In revelation, the mind is beyond perception. The sense of separation disappears. There's no subject and object. There's no time. There's no comparison. There's no learning. Direct revelation. There's no observer. There's no content. There's no interpretation. There's just direct knowing. So revelation, it can't really be described. These are all pointers. You don't get taught how to have revelation or try to induce revelation. It's something that occurs spontaneously, and what Jesus has said, that awe is appropriate there. So to introduce a little bit of structure to how these sentences are going, sentence 1, God has been approached indirectly so far. Sentence 2, Jesus must not be mistaken for an object of awe. So here's a little, I kind of made a little diagram for myself. I'll describe it to you. So God is known by revelation. That's awe appropriate. Jesus is the teacher within the perception. That's awe inappropriate. Equality is required for learning. That's what this is showing. Awareness of this equality, the equality is required for learning. And study is required to keep these levels distinct. Right? The difference between what an experience of God is, it's known as revelation. Jesus is the teacher within the perception. Gratitude toward Jesus is always totally appropriate as the teacher within the perception. And your equality with him and all of the sons of God is required for learning. And the reason why this is in the need to study is because study is required to understand this. You don't just get taught this when you grow up in the world you've been projecting, right?
Growing up again.
You're growing up again. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so then let's look at why awe is inappropriate between equals. Okay, it's a perceptual response. It arises towards a person, a teacher, some kind of form. It reflects a misinterpretation of relationship. Guru kind stuffs. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a misinterpretation of what the relationship is. It's assuming hierarchy. One's above the other. Right? There's psychological distance. I'm not where you are. Specialness is like one possesses something the other lacks. Right? Jesus doesn't want to be seen through this kind of lens, what he's saying. Inequality places an authority outside of yourself. See, he doesn't want to be seen as your authority. He wants to be seen more like a brother who has already accomplished the atonement. See? So he's got good advice, but he's not your authority.
It's like he's teaching how to uncomplish our illusions.
He's teaching how to undo illusions. Yes, that's what he's doing. So Jesus explicitly rejects this sort of relating with him. He doesn't want to be seen like this hierarchy. Because the reason is that it contradicts inherent equality. And that is a basis for learning. That's the reason. He doesn't really care about his reputation or anything. It's just that you need that as the basis for learning, to know the equality. So when it comes to this saying, and I'm going to read this sentence again. I have emphasized that awe is not appropriate in connection with me because of our inherent equality. So inherent means it's not earned, it's not granted, you don't get it developed. You are always equal. You're always equal. You're not one day equal to Jesus. You're not equal if you behave the right way. You're not equal in potential. You're equal in reality. You could say by design.
We're just not seeing clearly.
We're just not seeing clearly if we don't see that it's equal. So this is a present fact that you're equal with Jesus that gets obscured by perception, doesn't it? You notice how it's obscured by perception. You get the sense that you're doing things or thinking things are not good enough, and that's the obscuring. It's obscured by perception, your equality with him. So that's why don't believe what perception is telling you about yourself. It is not true. See, all this learning gets you to the point where you see that. Right? There's all this worrying about, failure and stuff like that that comes up. And it's like, man, none of that stuff even makes any sense. Just trying to hook you. Certainly, we don't want to make Jesus into an idol. We don't want to make learning into blindly trusting, right? I saw his picture and he looked awesome. His eyes looked peaceful. I'm just going to blindly trust whatever the fuck he says. And right. The ego prefers awe. The ego prefers you be in awe of Jesus because that's how you can avoid responsibility. I'm not there yet, for instance. Right? It keeps your authority external from you. And it lets you appear spiritual while protecting separation. Notice how common that is, with A Course in Miracles and even with traditionally religious church type stuff. Keeping that authority figure external lets you appear spiritual to yourself. There isn't anyone else to appear spiritual to, while preserving separation in your mind. So it's a trick. So sentence 2 is also stating, at least from my view, quite plainly, Jesus must not be mistaken for God. That's such a common misinterpretation too. So these two sentences together, God has been approached indirectly. Jesus is basically doing all the talking here for God. But Jesus must not be mistaken for God. This is equality. God is beyond your perception. Jesus is operating within your perception. See that? That's why equality is required for learning, because Jesus is operating in your perception. Jesus is not a dude. Jesus is a field of awareness in your perception that's operating in your perception. You can say it's Christ consciousness. That's a good way to say it. Yep. So this is protecting God from being reduced to a form and Jesus from being elevated into this form-based divinity, right? Awe belongs to God alone, and equality is the condition for learning. So another way to say it is you can't learn from what you've placed above yourself. Because uh, that uh, obliterates the whole premise that it's coming from. That is a premise, is to know our equality with all the sons of God. And Jesus is a common one that people like to put on a pedestal. He's saying no to that. Yay, I love you guys. Thank you for joining. You're awesome. You're all awesome. All right, if there's no questions about that sentence, I'm going on. Yay. Durga, connect Holy Spirit and Mother Mary with the equality. Yes. Well, here's the thing about Holy Spirit, though. That is also it's a different category from us. And it's a different category from God. It's a voice for God in the illusion. I'm saying a voice for God because Jesus is also a voice for God. So it's given in the illusion. The Holy Spirit is given in the illusion, but the Holy Spirit does not survive the illusion. Holy Spirit is given for the illusion. It has no function at the end of it. So that's a little different. And then Mother Mary, that's another son of God. So that's in the category of sons of God. See? The Holy Spirit is a guide that's given for temporary. It's the voice for truth. All right. Paragraph 6, sentence 3 from A Course in Miracles. I have been careful to clarify my own role in the atonement without either over or understating it. I was going to say estimating it. I have been careful to clarify my own role in the atonement without either over or understating it. That's the sentence 3. So he's been precise. Jesus is saying he's been precise and he's been careful. Why has he been careful? Because his role must be understood as it is, not exaggerated into divinity or reduced into a spiritual figure from the past, let's say. See? There's a footnote here. This footnote takes us back to Miracle Principle 24. There's going to be, I believe, 4 sentences here. Here's the first sentence of the footnote. I am in charge of the process of atonement. This is Jesus speaking, which I undertook to begin. So he's not saying, I'm above you or I'm replacing your choice. See, this is the thing about making Jesus into some divinity within the perception or a mythological, historical character. This is the most dangerous part of that I can see is it's as if he's replacing your choice, your responsibility. He can't replace what you're responsible for. It's not like he does the atonement instead of you. Look at his sentence again. I am in charge of the process of atonement, which I undertook to begin. So, in charge is talking about coordination. He's coordinating the correction of your mind. He's also holding a template of a healed mind. Right? Within our perception, he's holding a template of a healed mind. He's also ensuring that the atonement is applied without distortion. He said it's the only defense that's not subject to distortion. And why is that? Because the atonement establishes sinlessness. It establishes perfect innocence and oneness. It cannot be used with distortion. He maintains the consistency of the purpose of all minds, across all minds. This is how, I've seen that he's in charge of the atonement. Right? This is how I've seen him. Think director, not ruler, right? Organizer. So he initiated the correction in the dream. That's why he's saying here, which I undertook to begin. He's saying, I am in charge of the process of atonement, which I undertook to begin. He initiated the correction within the dream, is what he's saying. And he remains available to guide it. He initiated it and he's guiding it. He keeps it free of ego reinterpretation. He keeps the atonement free. So, where he says, which I undertook to begin, it doesn't mean that this started in time. The atonement started in time. Okay, it doesn't mean he created it even. Separation was taken to be real and it needed fixing. uh, so, it's the idea that separation is real that makes it seem like this happened in time, or that Jesus created something, or this is a historical event. It's not like this. It's not a historical event. This is what it is. Jesus was the first to fully accept the atonement within the perception. He was the first to accept it completely. He was the first to demonstrate the truth without compromise. See, the atonement is really eternal. It's just the acceptance of it seems to appear within a dream, and it has to be demonstrated in a dream. So time just loops around and loops around and loops around. Doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go in a line like it seems. Right? And so Jesus began the process demonstrating complete forgiveness. And then that opens the door for us, especially with him continuing to guide the process and protect it. This began the process for everyone else. So the reason the atonement requires a coordinator. Jesus says, I am in charge of the process of atonement. Why it needs someone in charge. We've talked about this in earlier chapters. Miracles would be selective, right? Correction would come from ego preference. And healing the mind would not be consistent. That's why he's in charge. Fear would re-enter that system. So Jesus keeps on bringing it back. He keeps on bringing our mind back to what the atonement really is. Perfect innocence for the Son of God. Perfect sinlessness. So he's in charge, and it's appropriate for him to be in charge because he doesn't have any personal investment. He's performing all his miracles indiscriminately. He never confuses perception with the truth. And he doesn't try to use it for any kind of special relationship. So this is why in the next sentence you could say, this is the footnote. This is the footnote 11, second sentence of footnote 11. I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately. He's not saying that others are incapable of doing that. It's just that others still choose selectively. So he's saying, as he's talking to us through Helen in an earlier part of A Course in Miracles, Miracle Principle 24, I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately. Now we're talking about just earlier the equality, right? We went all over equality. So immediately the ego may take something like this to mean inequality, right? But look at it with equality. He is coordinating the atonement, and your role in this is to accept the atonement and extend it. Still equality. Just two different roles. He doesn't do your work for you. And you're not the one doing the coordinating. You're not the one in charge. The last 5 of A Course in Miracles lessons. Be you in charge. Remember? I will follow you, knowing that your direction gives me peace. Right? So Jesus is holding a pattern. You know how I like to see the patterns and call these mental processes patterns. Jesus holds the pattern of complete correction. That's the pattern he's holding. That's why he's in charge, and he coordinates its application. He's saying not because he's above us, but he has no ego investment, and we do. It's really easy to see that we have ego investment. We seem to be on a timeline. It's like, that's the effect of having ego investment, is you seem to be on a timeline. No one's saying that this is bad. No one's saying that you're bad for this. I love you too. Thank you. It's just the fact. Your ego invested and Jesus isn't. So he's here to help out. Your role is to accept what he's teaching and extend it. This isn't about blind faith. That's why the teaching has been so meticulous. So you can see it for yourself. These are pointings. So Jesus began the atonement by accepting it fully. It was always available. He undertook it to begin. He was the first one to go, fuck, I'm doing this. And he remains in charge of it so it doesn't get misused, which is inevitable when there's investment with an ego. That's why he's saying he's the only one who could perform miracles indiscriminately. So this understanding keeps God beyond perception, right? We don't want God anywhere in the perception. He's not in the perception. God doesn't know about the silliness that you've made. Jesus within the perception, right? With, like you could say, with you, joining you, and having responsibility exactly where it belongs in our mind. So he's not trying to hoard power with that sentence about performing miracles indiscriminately. He's not saying that they require a special status. Hey. But it requires no special relationships. We all have special relationships, whether we want to say we do or not. Okay? It's like that. It's not saying it's a bad thing. It's saying that Jesus is in charge because he's the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately. One reason is he has no special relationships. He has no personal investment. He just loves, 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 loves. No personal investment, no selectivity, no ego filters. He's not telling you you have to be like that. He's telling you that you are not like that right now. And that's why he's in charge, right? I was just going over the last 5 lessons from A Course in Miracles. They're exactly the same. And one part that sticks out from it is, be you in charge, for I would follow you, knowing that your direction brings me peace. See? And, he's also saying he's in charge of the atonement. He is not saying he's your ruler, telling you what to do. He's a guide. Okay? He's a guide so you can perceive your true will. It's one with God. So there's nothing in Jesus that would want one outcome over another. So people can perform miracles, of course, and do perform miracles. They're often selective, conditional. But when you learn to hear, it's not like that anymore. Right? We talked about the circular miracles and the kind of miracles that actually collapse time. Right? So it's learning to see differently, and the miracles themselves become more powerful, more impactful, right? And he says, because I am the atonement. Let me go back to that sentence once again. It is from Miracle Principle 35. I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately because I am the atonement. You have a role in the atonement, which I will dictate to you. Isn't that fun? It would kind of sound like, he's that, like he's saying that he is the authority over you. If we didn't just go over that whole thing about equality, we just went over a whole we a whole area. Well, I took a couple of sentences. He was talking about inherent equality with him. You must know your inherent equality with him to even get what this is saying right here. Otherwise, it's taken automatically. You see that as if he's above you. He already set the stage by saying, I am not above you. We are equals. And also, it's important that you understand that we are equals before we go further. Here we are going further. We must have. So Jesus doesn't believe in separation. He never fluctuates between fear and love, which we all seem to do. It's not saying it's a bad thing, it's just a matter of fact thing, right? So it's not to try to cover it up that you do that, and it's not to make yourself into some kind of lowly being because you do that. It's just a matter of fact thing that you're aware of, and being in a happy learner kind of mindset. Jesus never withholds miracles. That's another thing. A lot of the times we're not aware that our will is aligned with God and we want to see a miracle. Right? Miracle basically establishes that you're dreaming a dream and none of its content is true. So Jesus demonstrates the atonement. That's his role. And you have a role in the atonement too, like this sentence says. You have a role in the atonement, which I will dictate to you. Isn't that fun? So the atonement isn't complete until it's accepted by each mind, and no one can accept it for another person. You have to be the one accepting it. That's why Jesus says, which I will dictate to you. He's not talking about control. He's talking about guidance, so you don't have to guess. Let him dictate it to you.
Yeah.
He is you, anyways. He's not separate from you. Like I said, he's not a dude. You could say he's a field of awareness that's in your own mind that you have complete access to. You can let him dictate it to you, dictate how to be happy and peaceful and free in the moment. It's coordination for your chaotic mind. It's total function. It's alignment with function instead of you trying to improvise something. Dictate here means I'm going to tell you what miracle mindedness looks like in the moment. Right? So you can perform your function in the most efficient way, short in time, enjoy more, extend more love. Right? It's a blessing. He'll tell you what miracle mindedness looks like at your current state of learning. All it takes is willingness. It's not the same teaching all the time. It's geared toward you. Wherever you are in the process of seeing. So the reason, he's saying, I will dictate it to you, is because the ego, before it's undone, will misguide miracles. Like we talked about, choosing where to give, choosing where to withhold, turning miracles into specialness. Do they deserve a miracle? I've heard people, especially A Course in Miracles, people say, someone seems to be doing something off or saying something off, thinking that person needs a miracle. And here's the thing about miracles, they're involuntary. See, that's just the ego saying that person, I'm going to go work a miracle over there on that. That person just needs a miracle from me. So Jesus can extend miracles because he has indiscriminately, because he has no ego investment. He's coordinating this whole process of miracle mindedness, the atonement. You participate with him. He's always participating with you. He said that earlier. You participate with him when you accept and extend the miracles as he's guiding. That's how you participate. And equality of being is always preserved with Jesus. If you hear something that's stating you below, him above, him as God, that's the ego. Equality is always preserved. Your equality with Jesus is always preserved. This different of function with him being in charge of the atonement and your function being to accept the atonement, right? This difference of function, this is just temporary. This is instructional. It's in a dream, right? So Jesus has fully accepted the atonement, which every one of us will do. And he's kind of helping us to speed that along because we want it. We want it.
The at-one-ment.
The at-one-ment. Yes, that's nice. That's a fun way to say it. So we perform these miracles as we learn to accept the atonement. That's how it works. What is the atonement again? God's Son is guiltless. Right?
Yay!
Yay. Yes. So as we accept that to ourselves, that's how we're making miracles. See why it's involuntary? As we're accepting for ourselves that God's Son is guiltless within perception. A lot of it is you're getting the perception that you're somehow guilty and covering that shit up real fast. So it's just making you kind of sour, right? So accepting the atonement for yourself is what allows you to perform the miracles. That's Jesus's guidance for you. He's in charge of the atonement. He's in charge of knowing that God's Son is guiltless. You got to love it. All right. Everyone's doing awesome. You guys don't have any questions or anything? All right. Thank you for joining. I love you. All right, next sentence. Then this is not the sentence in chapter 3 right now. I'm in the footnote. So this footnote brought back some really sweet quotes from A Course in Miracles from earlier. Okay, here's the third one in this footnote, and this is from chapter 2, section 3. He says, "My own role in the atonement is one of true projection." That's fun. We were just talking about this a couple days ago. That is, I can, quote, project, end quote, or extend to you the affirmation of truth. Isn't that lovely? My own role in the atonement is one of true projection. That is, I can, quote, project, which also means extend here, to you the affirmation of truth. Isn't that beautiful? So this is a different take on the word projection. We were just talking about this. Durga asked me during wisdom dialogues, about projecting love. And I said, well, yeah, it's the same kind of function as projection. What we're calling projection is the same kind of function as extension. It's really the same mechanism. It's just that one is life-giving and one is murderous. So yeah, there's a true perception, or true projection is what Jesus is calling it. So in the ego's system and the way we've learned projection, it's seeing something out there, right? Assigning cause to something else. That would be projection. Denying that you're actually putting it out there. That's false. You can call that false projection. So this is the opposite meaning here. He's calling it true projection. It's actually equal to extension. These are, concepts, but you can see beyond them. So he clarifies the term here where he says, I can project or extend, where he's saying project in quotes, tiny quotes. Instead of two, it's one. I don't know what the difference is there. Or extend, that's in parentheses. So he's saying project or extend. Basically, it's extension here. I can extend to you the affirmation of truth. It's the same kind of mechanism like projecting. He's using his mind and he's projecting what's true. So it's the extension of what Jesus knows to be true. He's not ever denying anything to your mind.
Well, it sounds like he's projecting to us rather than we project out there.
Yeah, he is projecting to us, which is what he's been calling extension all along. That's what we do with one another too, right? That's also talked about in A Course in Miracles. That's what we do with one another. When we're projecting, you can say projecting in this case, absolute truth, your guiltlessness, right? That's why it's called extending, because it actually reaches your mind, It's like not just like pasted on you. Like these projections don't even really reach us. These aren't our real thoughts, that's why. And we remain in communion no matter what it looks like on the surface. So Jesus simply shares what's true with us. So the atonement it's a process that's undoing the belief in separation. So that's undoing the idea that God's Son is guilty. It's the same thing. But it still believes in separation. So it's not able to generate, your mind is not able to generate truth on its own because it's an imaginary split, but the split is very real to you. It can't teach itself. Your mind can't teach itself. That's why Jesus is saying, which I will dictate to you in the earlier sentence. Because your mind doesn't accept that yet. Once your mind accepts the truth, then, when your mind fully accepts the truth, you're going to know it. It's like on our own, we can't distinguish ego insight from true revelation. An ego insight would be something like, oh, you're supposed to do this thing in the world. You're supposed to be with this person or any kind of thing like that. Revelation is a complete suspension of all these ideas that make up the world. So this sentence again. My own role in the atonement is one of true projection. That is, I can project or extend to you the affirmation of truth. So this is not psychology. That was a question that came up for me. Is this like some kind of psychology, like some kind of mental, trickery? That was a kind of question. And here's the difference with psychology. Psychology reframes the meaning. It like will analyze experience in a way to reframe the meaning and interpret the content and work with your narratives. That's why people go to therapy a lot and don't come out feeling any better because they keep on working with those narratives. So it's like working within this framework of the ego and not going beyond it, never going beyond it.
There's still the feeling of separation no matter how you rearrange it.
Right, it's a rearranging of the feeling of separation. That's a good way to put it. Yes. So Jesus is simply extending the affirmation of what's always true. And that for us, that's something that we're able to do too by listening. So why he's saying, I will dictate it to you. So when you recognize, oh, that field of awareness that will dictate it to me is actually me. It's just a matter of opening up to this field of awareness that has a different point of view than the field of awareness that seems to be perceiving this life. Right? As an individual in a world. So the mind, Jesus always extends the affirmation of truth. That's what he's doing. And our mind either recognizes that or it doesn't. And recognition is allowed. That's just allowed. That's the willingness. Willingness does not take any kind of strain, although it is effort. There is an effort there because you've been trained to identify with the ego as well. So we can only extend what's already true. That's the only thing that can be extended is what's already true. And that's what Jesus does. That's what Jesus helps us to see in this way so that we can be forgiving and extend what's already true to everyone. So he's not giving you something that you lack. It's just like you're calling forth this awareness within the dream that you're a separate individual. And he already said he's not trying to create a hierarchy. That's not what he's doing. That's why he's saying awe isn't appropriate and we're inherently equal with him. So hierarchy would mean that the giver and the receiver, look at this. Jesus is talking about extending to us. Hierarchy would mean that the giver and the receiver are different. What he's saying is we're the same. We need to see this equality. It would insist that one of us possesses something the other one doesn't possess.
What we possess is illusion. He's trying to get rid of that. It's like we possess the same thing as our quality, our nature.
Yeah, what he's possessing that we possess is truth.
Yeah.
Right? That's really what he possesses that we possess is truth. It's the same. It's just that there's awareness of it and there's unawareness of it. This doesn't put us on different levels though. So extension occurs when it's true. It's the same truth in both. The truth Jesus knows is the same truth that we really do know underneath this pretense. One already remembers, let's say Jesus already remembers what we are learning to remember, let's say, opening to that remembrance. Yes.
The light, flashlight.
Everyone's a flashlight?
All the same flashlight.
Uh-huh.
And we don't know that ours can be really bright,
Uh-huh.
but his is always the biggest bright that it can be. So
Uh-huh.
just sitting there, being that big brightness, reminding us of the big brightness. Not telling us to be anything different than we already are, but just being. And we have the opportunity to recognize our own brightness, just being around that brightness and remembering it.
Yes, I love it. Okay, yeah. So what Annie was talking about is she's seeing it in her mind's eye like we're all flashlights. And Jesus is just being this brightness that we're all capable of. He's just being himself. And just by being himself and beaming what he is, we can choose to let our lights be so bright whenever we're ready, whenever we want to, whenever we're willing. See? So we've been through these sentences and we've gone over so far that Jesus performs miracles indiscriminately because he has no ego preference. He is the atonement. So he's fully accepted correction within the perception. He dictates our role to us, giving us guidance while discrimination remains in our mind, discrimination between miracles. And his role is true projection or extension. So he shares truth without any distortion. The personal interest really has a way of distorting things. So there's one more sentence here in footnote 11, also from chapter 2, and this one's from section 5, where Jesus says, the atonement actually began long before the resurrection. Many souls offered their efforts on behalf of the separated ones.
Offer their what? Efforts?
Efforts. Right. So this is, in this sentence, he's removing it from time. Even, he's saying the atonement actually began long before the resurrection. Many souls offered their effort. So it's not one historical event. It didn't start with Jesus's body.
So many souls offer their efforts or teach other teachers.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been going on for a long time. The preparation, what he's saying is, I undertook it to begin. I was the first one to complete it, to complete the atonement. But he's saying many souls have offered their efforts on behalf of the separated ones. So it's not caused by crucifixion. It's not caused by resurrection. It's not really anchored in linear time. The resurrection was a demonstration within time, but it's not, what he's saying, it's not the origin of this. The atonement is eternal, actually. Its acceptance is what appears in time. And demonstration occurs when minds are ready. Apparently, minds were ready for that kind of demonstration that Jesus is with the resurrection. At that instant, minds are ready. So here he's preventing this belief that salvation has a starting date in time. He's not the only one who has served the atonement. He's still showing, he's not to be worshipped as anything. He's not like this lone exception. Others have accepted truth ahead of the collective. They've extended correction. They've offered miracles. He's also saying in another sentence, he undertook the atonement to begin, and he's in charge of it. The first one to complete it, you could say. But that doesn't even matter either, because he's not a body. So he's talking about souls here, saying many souls offered their efforts on behalf of the separate ones. And you guys hear souls, what do you guys think about some entities flying around like that? Special beings or anything, spiritual elites, anything like that? So it's just referring to minds, really, that accepted correction earlier.
Separated.
Right. Well,
But they found unity.
well, he's saying on behalf of separated ones. So when he's saying on behalf of separated ones, no one's really separate. We've already established that. It's people believe they are separate. So it's like, when you're making an effort, like how Jesus is saying effort without strain. You're accepting the atonement for yourself. You're accepting the truth. Yeah, you're doing it on behalf of those who believe they are separate. That is, that's the thing. It's like other people aren't doing it for us. They're not going to do it for us. They're just going to reflect to us what needs uh, love, what needs your acceptance, what needs your willingness to be guided, to interpret it in a way that's healing. It's a healing interpretation. Yes.
Where it says that Jesus is in charge of the process of atonement, which Jesus undertook to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And then later it says that the atonements actually began long before the resurrection. Doesn't that mean that he started it before he even came in as a body?
There's no difference. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's also talking about other souls,
Right.
right? He's talking about souls. So it's been in many forms. This desire to know what's true, this desire to know our relationship with our creator, you could say, has always been within all of us. So there's been some certain minds, and kind of like ahead of the collective mind. Are you ahead of the collective mind? Because the collective mind isn't in on this yet, apparently. And to accept what's true. So all the efforts that have been made, all the people sitting in meditation and caves and all that stuff, it's kind of like they're paving the way, even if they're blind about it and don't realize, how to atone or anything like that. It's like all of these efforts, and it talks about this in A Course in Miracles too, all of these efforts on behalf of the separated ones, they work. They all add up, as fumbly as they may be. Right? So there's been lots of effort to see through, for our one mind to see through, and everyone will see this is the process that we're seeming to be going through right now. So within the dream, some minds let go of separation sooner. This has already been played out. It's already done. Within the dream, some minds. Okay? They accept it sooner. They stop valuing ego defenses sooner. They extend truth to others sooner. It seems to be a rare thing that anyone extends truth to each other. Unless, you're in a circle like this. We seem to extend truth to each other all the time. It's really sweet. So he's not saying they saved anyone, but they offered their willingness. And here in the quote, he says, offered their efforts. So offered their efforts. This is not saying it's a labor or a sacrifice. It's not saying it's suffering. You don't get anything through suffering. It means extending miracles, offering their efforts, extending miracles, refusing to make differences real, holding no grievances, okay, answering calls for love, and demonstrating what it is to be in the state of truth. Effort is really, when Jesus is talking about effort, he's talking about willingness. He's not talking about straining yourself. He's talking about willingness to be guided. Effort without strain. That's right.
Letting go of illusions.
It's letting go of illusions, right? He's guiding us to let go of illusions, right? Our illusion is always saying that that guilt is real, punishment is necessary, punishment is coming, right? You hear that practice all the time. I mean, just like someone going, I can't see that text, I'm too old. It's like, what the fuck? How did you go to that conclusion? Like, how do we learn to get to that conclusion? I'm too old and that's why I can't see this text. It's like, man, it just takes away the complete power of the mind to project anything it pleases. It's like, I can't seem to read that small text right now. That's it. That's all. Seems like I need a magnifying glass at the moment. That's it. I don't need a layer over it about how I'm old and that's why. that's basically saying this is a straight timeline and it's going to death. And the wages of sin is death, isn't it? And that's sin. That's that misunderstanding is what you would call sin, right? So, why is this sentence here about the atonement? I am the atonement. I am in charge. I perform miracles indiscriminately. Okay, so you could conclude Jesus is the unique source of healing. But Jesus is saying here, he's correcting it with the one sentence about coordinating the atonement. He doesn't own it, he coordinates it. So atonement is not in time. That's what he's getting to. Atonement is not in time. It's outside of time. That's why it can't be misused by the ego, because Jesus is coordinating it from outside of time. Resurrection, that's been a demonstration. Jesus isn't exclusive. Many minds have participated. He said many minds have participated. And healing is collective. Coordination is preventing a distortion from happening. So it's a blessing that he's coordinating everything and he's preserving our equality. Even when we don't preserve our equality in our minds, Jesus is still joining our minds. It's like he's holding them in perfect equality. It makes it so that everyone can see sooner. When they choose it, though, because it's not, they can see when they choose it. All right, so we finished that footnote 11, and that's on sentence 3, where it says, I have been keep on putting very in there. I have been careful to clarify my own role in the atonement without either over or understating it. And then we just went through those 4 sentences that were in the footnote. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we are moving on. Oh, I see a question here. Would it make sense that the atonement has always been possible as the separation isn't the truth? Yes, that's why I was pointing out the atonement is eternal. It's because it's truth. Yeah. And separation isn't truth. Yeah. So we were talking about, before we got into all of those, we were talking about equality, I believe. Let me look. Oh, we were talking about Jesus clarifying his role in the atonement. So we got to the footnote. So the overstating, he's saying without overstating it. So overstating it would be putting him in a role of divinity. That would be overstating his role. Understating it would be making it into psychology or a metaphor or something historical. Okay. So this question came to my mind. Is Jesus doing psychology? Again, it just came back around. Is Jesus doing psychology though? So he's using psychological language a lot. We've seen that. He's gone into Freud and different things. The thing is, psychology works within the ego's framework, and Jesus is looking to undo the framework. So that's the big difference here. So Jesus talks about fear, he talks about guilt, he talks about projection. He analyzes the ego's thought systems. He exposes the ego's defense mechanisms. He addresses relational dynamics. He corrects misattribution of cause. That's what kind of looks like psychology to me. I'm like, this resembles this, but resemblance isn't. It's not the same thing, because here's the distinction and why it's not psychology. Because psychology assumes that the self is real. That is not the assumption Jesus is making. Psychology works to improve and stabilize an ego. Right? Want to adapt the ego more to what society says is the best. It also treats fear as meaningful. Jesus totally treats fear as a meaningless thing. Okay? Also, psychology operates completely within the perception. It's aiming at better functioning and you being a better functioning human being. That's how it is. So Jesus has a totally different take. It's a lot of times does sound like psychology, but he's assuming from the beginning ego is a mistake. We start with that. Ego is a mistake. He exposes the unreality of your self-concept, right? He treats fear as completely false, having no justification in truth. Absolutely no justification. And he uses perception only to undo perception. That's really what we set it up for. We set it up to undo the cause of perceiving, the thought of separation. Jesus aims at remembering the truth rather than improving our experience. Remembering the truth automatically improves your experience. So working to try to improve your experience without remembering the truth, that doesn't work. And so psychology is starting out with not remembering the truth. It's making it as if you are a separate self that's just trying to cope in the world, right? So don't place Jesus, because this would be overstating, would be placing him closer to God than you are. He's no closer to God than you are. Also, he's not doing the atonement for you. That's a responsibility that you have. And that's why up until this point, there's been a lot of talk about that responsibility. Jesus is not a substitute for you being responsible. You have a role. So, and he likes to avoid being treated as a unique exception, obviously. He wants to be more like a model. Hey, I could do that. Whatever that fucker did, or does, I can do. He actually said, you can do all this and more. Okay, so understating his role. That's another thing. He's trying not to understate his role either. He doesn't want to be like some history guy, some guy in history or psychology or dismissing his authority, right? He can actually speak for God because of, and that's what that projection slash extension of the truth to your mind is, because he's accepted the truth completely. So his role, we're talking about his role in the atonement. I have been careful to clarify my own role in the atonement uh, without either over or understating it. So that's his role in this atonement is to represent the completed atonement for us in the perception, modeling. He's modeling a mind that no longer believes in separation. He speaks for God while remaining equal to you. See that? He speaks for God while remaining equal to you. He's guiding miracle mindedness, not replacing your choice. That's what the equality does. It shows you he's standing with you, but he's not ordering you around. He's pointing beyond perception without bypassing perception. Ego wants to just bypass perception completely, right? Jesus points beyond perception. Hey, this is the perception you're having. We've seen it in the cameos. This is the perception you're having, and you could have had a much better day, right? If you didn't take this thought is real, and this thought is real, this thought is real. He stands with you, not as chastising you or anything like that. So, without the footnote, we had a really long footnote there, footnote 11. Without the footnote, I'm just going to read the first 3 sentences that we've been over so far. And this is from paragraph 6, chapter 3, section 1, the need to study. So far, this course has had only indirect recourse to God and rarely even refers to him directly. I have emphasized that awe is not appropriate in connection with me because of our inherent equality. I have been careful to clarify my own role in the atonement without either over or understating it. That completes sentences 1 through 3. So a little summary. Sentence 1, God has been approached indirectly. Sentence 2, Jesus must not be the object of awe. And sentence 3, Jesus's role should be understood. So if you confuse the level, this thread is showing me if you confuse the levels, you're going to confuse the function. So God is revelation, Jesus, correction within the perception, you, responsibility for accepting the atonement. And that's what we've been studying. That's the whole, uh, that's all like what we've been studying up till now, so that we don't confuse these things and we're ready for the next sentence. Yay. Okay, it looks like we have a sentence and a footnote here. I have tried to do exactly the same thing in connection with yours. Okay, so what is he saying about yours? In the previous sentence, he's been careful to clarify his own role in the atonement without either over or understating it. Now he's saying, I have tried to do exactly the same thing in connection with yours. What's he talking about with yours? Your role in the atonement. And then there's a footnote here, footnote 12. All of the teaching about giving miracles and thereby being the means of atonement has been teaching about our role in the atonement. So that footnote is to say, okay, up until now, there's been a whole principles of miracles section and all kinds of talk about miracles. All of the teachings about giving miracles and thereby being the means of atonement has been teaching about our role in the atonement. So that's what we've been taught about up till now, our role in the atonement. I have tried to do exactly the same thing with yours.
So neither over or understating your role.
Your role, neither over or understating your role in the atonement. That's right. Yeah, so that footnote is actually not a reference to anything in the text. That's what those who compiled this, all of these writings from Helen, that's their footnote. They just added that in. I think it's awesome. I agree. Up until now, it's been everything about giving miracles has been teaching about our role in the atonement. And a lot of it, from what I saw, like one really easy way to put it is to listen and be willing to do only what you're told. Only what you're told. And that's again, it's words pointing to that, but when you're doing only what you're told because there's a sense of being in alignment at ease. See?
It's like not being arrogant and not hiding out.
Yeah, and really the direction is given in thought. Right? It's like it's always like accepting the atonement for yourself is the means to miracles. So, yes, footnote 12. All right. So, in a way, he's saying here, let's look at this sentence again. I have tried to do exactly the same thing in connection with yours, in connection with your role in the atonement. And, I think he's done a great job. He's basically saying everything I taught you about miracles, it's about you. It's your function. Miracles are your function. Right? It's like giving miracles, or you could say forgiveness, is how the atonement is accepted. Giving miracles, forgiveness, accepting the atonement for yourself this is it. There's nothing to do. There's nothing here. There's nothing to even experience except for this. Recognizing what it's for makes every experience glorious. Okay. Sentence, unless you guys have questions, let me check on you, sweeties. So the atonement gets applied through us. It's not completed for us, it's applied through us. It's our choice. We become the means and we allow our own minds to be corrected. We refuse to make these apparent differences real. There's no reality to anything being different. Nothing we even seem to see here is actually here in the way we interpret it. Our minds are making things out, even what our eyes seem to see. We know this. So you become the means for the atonement when you allow correction in your own mind. Okay? You're not making differences real. You're not making judgments true. Why is this your role, though? Why is our miracles your role? Because they correct your own perception. Right? When you give a miracle, you're accepting the atonement for yourself. That's what it is. This accepting the atonement for yourself, accepting God's Son is guiltless. That's it. That's a miracle. That's what gets extended. It's extended simultaneously, and you get the blessing of it right away. It's such a blessing to extend a miracle. No other role is satisfying. Nothing else, nothing in the world is satisfying except this.
Question, if you're ready.
Yes.
So it says miracles are accepting the atonement for yourself, and the atonement is that God's Son is guiltless.
That's right.
Now, we are God's Son.
Yes, that's right.
So why does it say that God's Son is guiltless and not just you are guiltless?
Because you're not aware that all of God's sons are you.
Okay.
Okay, you may know this conceptually, but there's a sense that they're not all you. That's why there seem to be bodies outside of your body. That's actually the effect of this unwatched secret belief, you could say, and this is how it's getting undone. So then it gets revealed to you that you're not separate.
I see. So what I'm saying here, like when I'm adding that on, like, but you are God's Son, it's just doing what it's trying to say to do, which is to take that atonement for yourself.
Yes.
You are God's Son, equal with God. It's right? Is that right?
Well, look at this. What Jesus is saying, why he's talking about equality, like you're equal with Jesus. And he's also saying, I'm not God, but he is God. But we're doing pointing.
Okay.
So because you know how people are putting Jesus up as God and then ourselves on the side of the body.
Yeah.
Right? So he's pointing like that. Like this, I'm not in the category of God.
Okay.
I'm in the category of son of God, just like you.
Just like you.
Right.
And then ultimately,
exactly.
he doesn't want to lower himself, but he also wants to not lower us, in a sense. So he's going to put himself on the same level as us, but raise us all up ultimately.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because really, it's true that we are God, and also as God, we created a son to be in relationship with God, right? But even saying it like that is weird because as God, right? Yes. So it's like God created a son with all these different creative individualizations to be in relationship with God. And there's no separation. See that? But there's apparent separation to have the relationship. See? So it's this mind, the Son of God, taking this apparent separation as if it's been abandoned by God, not recognizing that this apparent separation is for relationship, right? and we're already totally cared for. So he's saying, I have tried to do exactly the same thing in connection with yours. So he clarified his role. He said, coordinating. I'm making indiscriminate miracles. He extends the truth. Our role is giving miracles as the means of atonement. Yes.
Sorry. When you're talking, I keep thinking of Harriet Tubman, who freed a lot of slaves. She could hear like what to do. Like you think go right, but she heard go left. And she saved hundreds of people by just surrendering, and miracles were just happening because she was surrendered to the atonement.
Okay, so you're talking about like you're talking about efficiency to me. She's talking about Harriet Tubman, how she yeah, how Underground Railroad, how she saved all these slaves apparently, and she was just listening to which direction to go all the time. And it is like that. It's like you could be moved even which direction to go. And you know, Jesus has pointed that out in some of the cameos so far about how everything that you even do in the field can be much more efficient if you're listening and following the guidance. Now, all the not listening that came up, you know, it showed to me that the not listening coincided with unforgiveness. See? It's like what was unforgiveness? Some of the examples Jesus gave, one of them was laughing about a rude comment that someone was making about someone else who wasn't even there. And her just laughing about it. It's not like she's getting punished for it, but it's like her mind knows that she's equal with that person. But now she just, by laughing at that joke, she made it like an equality, and that hurts your mind. So it starts setting her up for a bad day. It's like you can't, because you're not hearing the guidance. You're not hearing, take that cab over there, walk that way, kind of like Harriet Tubman in that example you're giving. Only thing that's preventing us from hearing the guidance and knowing exactly what to do in any moment is unforgiveness. That's why Jesus has been pointing out, I love that, the chain of miscreation. He pointed out how one thought about, separation, thought and separation adds to another one and another one, and events go downhill. Eventually people are cold and not happy with each other. Right? So yeah, it's the guidance works completely in the illusion too, and makes all of the things that we seem to be doing more efficient, run smoother, whether it's freeing slaves or um, who knows, running a party or something like that. Yeah.
Listening to the voice that's speaking of separation.
Yeah, when you listen to the voice that's speaking of separation, it blots the guidance out. Yes.
Can we keep going on with some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we were talking about, like, I was kind of adding on, but you liked it, like, you are guiltless. Like, it's essentially we take on the tone, we are guiltless. Now, have they established this far in the course yet that what guilty mind is, and what really guiltless means? Have they talked about that?
What guiltless really means?
Yeah.
God's son is guiltless, what that really means?
Yeah. Have they gone into more depth about that at all yet?
Good question. Have we heard a lot about guiltlessness? I think we have. I think we have. Um, the principles of miracles and the principles of miracles, there's a lot about seeing things differently. We know what you have perceived of him harming you is not really true. He's helping you. So it's like the mind would find all these different ways to project guilt, but the bottom line is God's son is guiltless no matter what it is that's arising. Right? Because any of the thoughts that you think, or you seem to think with the ego, he's saying those are not your real thoughts. Those are not even your real thoughts. The ego's thoughts aren't. So if they're not your real thoughts and you perceive those thoughts and get scared, you're just listening to the ego. You could be out of that so fast.
Would that be the same thing as taking the responsibility for all your perceptions? Because the perception could be that person did something to me, but that's not true. So you take the responsibility that I perceive that, projected that. So it's not two, it's one, it's my projection.
It's my projection, right? So Tony's talking about, he's saying, could it be that you're just taking responsibility? You're going, whatever that person seems to have done to me, that's just my projection. What arose for me today, it's like, it's like whenever it seems like anyone's been abusive or mean or disrespectful or anything like that, it's like, I needed to play that energy out, and they came along and helped me play that energy out. You see how that just it shows, it demonstrates to my own mind, God's son is guiltless. You know, it's like whatever the energy is, even if it's punching or something like that, I needed to play that energy out, and they're helping me with that. So everyone's always helpful 100% of the time. Did you have any questions specifically about guilt?
Yeah, thanks. Well, because I mean, I'm used to kind of getting the entire like essence of the course from you all at once.
Okay.
And I remember you always used to talk about guilty mind,
Uh-huh.
and it's that it's a belief in separate, or it's a thought of separation.
Yes.
Which actually never occurred.
That's
but it's
right.
a thought that separation occurred, and then the guilt is, well, we caused it. Like we, you know, as in like essentially we are God, but we made a mistake.
Uh-huh.
We caused this separation.
Right.
And so all the other things that seem to have guilt and fear associated with them are like a recapitulation of that primal or primordial guilt for causing a separation. But it never happened.
That's
the
right.
separation never occurred.
That's right.
Okay. So I don't know if they've gone into all that yet, but it's just, I just really like to remind myself
Yeah.
of that.
That the
Like,
separation never
the
occurred.
separation never occurred. And that's what
Right.
guiltless really means. Is
Right.
that none of this separation occurred. This is all a dream that we're all playing, you know, we're seeming to play out, to remember.
That's
that
right.
Separation never occurred.
That's right. That's all it is. There isn't any cause for guilt.
Mhm.
There isn't any cause for a guilty mind except the thought of separation, and the thought of separation is a thought about what never happened and can't happen, can never happen. So we get reflections of this guilty idea. We get reflections of this through perceiving ourselves, maybe thinking something we think is not appropriate, or doing something that we shouldn't have done, or anything like that. These are extrapolations of that original thought that we separated ourselves, we're guilty, and we deserve punishment. Okay. I don't know if the course has specifically gotten into this part of it yet.
Right.
You know, what we've been talking about is it's been so practical.
Right.
So far. And so now it's bringing God in, and likely bringing guilt in. Who knows? It could be down the road. There's 30 chapters. We're on 3 right now. Right? But that is it's always a good time to bring that in too. That guilt is just a misunderstanding. And what Jesus has been pointing to all the way up to here, showing us all the way up to here, has been practically how to undo it. How to undo the thought of separation is bringing on this guilty mind, this guilty self-concept. It has no truth in reality whatsoever, and it doesn't matter how big, let's say big, the crime. You know, I've had people ask me, well, what about Hitler? And it's like, he didn't do anything. It was like an eruption. And it's like, how could you let him off the hook? It's like, man, it's not really like that at all. It's not like letting anyone off the hook. It's recognizing that he actually didn't do anything. And if we believe and we hold any character, any figure as responsible, some people might be holding Donald Trump responsible now. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter what figure you use, but if they're unworthy of the truth, which is God's son is guiltless, then your mind automatically takes that as being about you. And you can't see past that. You cannot be guiltless without including everyone who you've projected guilt onto. You have to include them. It's like you go last after you've let everyone else, basically after you've released everyone else to the truth.
Annie says this to me sometimes when I'm like criticizing somebody or whatever. She'd say, I feel like what you're saying is about you. And I'm like, you're right. You're totally right. That's about me. And it's not true.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So Orba was sharing when he seems to be critical of someone else, his partner is going, that seems to be about you. And he'll be like, shit, you're right. It's not really about Orba either. It's not really about him either. It's just that from his mind's point of view, when he seems to be talking about another person, he is talking about himself, and his mind is making that true for him. So it's a nice save when your partner goes, I feel like this is really about you. Right? I heard another one from a friend. He said he tells people who practice A Course in Miracles, it's a good thing you have such a strong forgiveness practice. And he's kind of like saying it tongue in cheek, but I'm like, that's great for us. We freaking love it. Tell us that anytime. Yeah, it's a great reminder. Tell us that. We love it.
One reason people might not want to forgive somebody like Hitler,
yes,
it's so good to say, yeah, but I'm not that bad.
You're not that bad. Yeah, that's a good point, Billy.
It's good to have somebody up there that's that bad.
That's right. And that's why there's entertainment like reality shows. People worse off than you, so you can compare and go, I'm actually doing pretty good. Right? Yeah. So Billy was talking about, Hitler, using him as an example. To keep him as if someone who's guilty, this person can't be guiltless. It's that to the ego, it's comfort, it's relief, because it's like, I'm not that bad. I'm not as bad as him. I haven't even killed anyone, for instance, which really doesn't matter whether it seems to occur on the surface, just because, I'm not saying you should go around killing people. Of course, you don't have a choice in that. It's just, yeah, it's meaningless. But it's like holding him out as if he's the villain. He's like an eruption of consciousness. This is what all of like the collective consciousness wanted to manifest, right? And it's still going on. When you talk about Trump or something like that, this is what the collective consciousness wanted. He's providing we're all providing a service. We're 100% helpful all the time.
Yeah, we were talking about this a while ago, that I just found out that there's a lot of like Buddhists and Zen teachers that go to death row and teach death row inmates how to be free in this non-dual sense.
So Tony's talking about I'm not sure why this is coming up, but he wanted to
talk about killing people.
Oh, okay.
Oh, people that have killed people.
People that have killed people, apparently. Okay, so there's Zen teachers going on to death row to talk to people who have apparently been killing people, or maybe have been accused of killing people, and they never killed anyone. All right, here's the question, I think. Is this why God isn't involved in perception because it is not real? Yes, you got it. That's a great question. Yes, perception is not real. You don't want God to even be able to know about it. you like keeping your source as pure, right? Is not even able to know about something like this, not even capable of knowing about something like this. And with God as your source, you're not capable of making this really mean anything to you. You're just kidding when you're making it mean anything to you. It doesn't really mean anything to you. But Jesus is also saying, like we've learned today, that he's going, you believe this. You believe this separation, and that's why I'm in charge. I'm going to dictate your role to you. That's so sweet. Jesus is involved as correction through undoing. Yes, he's helping us undo, and that's the correction that's occurring. So, hooray, everyone. We got through, let's see, sentence 4. So next time when I come back, which is going to be February 8th, I believe. Let me see. Is it February? Yes. Actually, it's going to be February 11th that I'm going to have another ACIM deep dive. I'll be back on the 8th, though, for Wisdom Dialogues. I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm traveling to Maui tomorrow, and then the Big Island. And when I come back to this lovely lake house paradise, I'll be going back online with you guys, and I love you so much. I thank you for joining. I thank you for your willingness with me. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, thank you. She said I look beautiful in blue. Yes. Until next time, visit hopejohnson.org. You can get my recordings there, all kinds of stuff. Click under free resources. Also have paid stuff there. I can do anything from a 15-minute phone call to living with you for a short period of time, I think. Also, there's my book on there, Unschooling for Parents, and you can donate. I am a nonprofit ministry, Hope Johnson Ministries. Also, my website is accepting monthly donations that you can set up. Any problem with that? Just reach out to me directly, hope@hopejohnson.org. Oh, I love you so much. And I guess I'll see quite a few of you pretty soon over in Hawaii. Yay. Mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho. Woo!